Hello, and welcome back to another tier list. I know it's been a while since I made one of these, but this time we're doing the Fall of Everlife DLC. So if you've watched the previous tier lists I've made, I won't go into too much detail on what I'm doing. Tiers are pretty straightforward. You know, S is the overpowered cards, things that control the meta. A are like excellent, really good cards. B are still good cards. But just, slightly lower than A. C are okay cards. D are terrible cards, but they are usable. And then meme are, of course, the worst possible cards in the game. So let's get on to ranking these. I will post in the description all of these names in order on how I rank them in the description, in case you don't know the artwork. I will try to name all of these as well. So this first one here is Reign of Fish, which is actually an okay card. I'm thinking like a B. This costs 6 lands to get out, but there's a lot of synergy with like Illusion of Grandeur and Gift of Rakoa. Amoeba has a very spicy Reign of Fish list that does very well in tournaments, actually. So I think this deserves a slot in B because of that. This is the Flying Piranha, which is not very good. This is probably C tier because I think it's quite usable. So this is a 3 cost, 3 land, which is a little bit pricey. I think it has flying to start off with, and then when something dies adjacent to it, it gains death touch. And jump. Right, yeah, so it does start with flying. So it's okay. I think it deserves a slot in C. The Hydra, Monstrous Hydra. Now, Saturn's gonna get very upset with me where I rank this, because I think this is a terrible card. But probably a C tier. Probably better than the Piranha, actually. Okay, this Orphan Fugu is really excellent, I think. Possibly A? Like, the thing... Yeah, I think so. This guy... Like, I have my beast lists. Maybe I'm a little biased by putting it here, but it's really strong, in my opinion. It's 4 cost for a 3/5 to start off with, but its ability is super easy to trigger, much like Ancient Boar. You just have to drop another beast, and then it's a 5/5 jumper for 4 cost. That's pretty great, and it's a starting creature. I think that deserves an A. Rapala's... interesting. I'm not sure what to rank this guy, actually. Probably C tier. But, like, it has actual great uses. The thing is like, so this fills your opponent's hand with 1/1 ruby fish. But the thing is with this guy, like, it's so you get to mill 1 card at least from your opponent's deck. But like, milling isn't that big a deal because milling is completely random. Putting Reign of Fish above Rapala, hey Summer. But Reign of Fish has uses, right? Like, Amoeba's got that really nice list that works with it. The Rain fits in 1 deck. Definitely it does, but I mean, like, Soul Eater fits in 1 deck as well. That's kind of the argument I always come back to. Like, you're not going to run this unless it's in that specific deck, right? I mean, you can run this in, like, Mono Blue, Illusion, maybe. Sapphire Yak's kind of insane with Yak synergy. Does that deck run 3 Rain? It could. I don't know. I guess that wouldn't be as great a deck. But like, the green-blue archetype with this is still pretty strong, I think. Soul Eater doesn't cry with a shaker. True. That's a good point. Might be right on that. Might come back to that one. The green Yak is really good. But it does require a prairie. I mean, it's really good in Rush. This might be like B. Actually, yeah, this is probably B. Because it does require that prairie. You can use it in Green Rush, of course, and it's pretty solid. 3 cost for a 3/3 body, plus the 1/1 taunt. The argument there is Reign of Fish doesn't cry with a voice of truth. Yeah, might have to take another look at it. Because, I don't know, I've played around with Reign of Fish. Like, what's nice is that you get fish to survive for collectors afterwards. Like, it's very unlikely they clear your board unless there's a ground shaker. The Haunted Willow's not great. I think this is C. I don't know. 7/1 is very niche. It's really strong again. I mean, it's 2 cost only. It's not that huge an investment. So it has uses, I guess. Hunt Down's pretty great. That's A tier. Maybe better than Yak? Maybe. Majinata. I don't know how you pronounce this. This is like probably B. Like this has a really strong effect, but it gets swallowed, and then it can be like your opponent can transform the creature, or they could just, yeah. Well, that's pretty much the consideration. They can transform it. So yeah, I think that warrants a B. Nekomata's not great. Probably C, because it's a 4-cost 3/5 taunt, which is actually decent stats, but does that make it a B? No, it's like 4 forest. No, it's in here somewhere. Neko D, you think? But like the stat-wise, it's still, well, it's 4 forest, which is so much, but I think it's still usable. This is probably lower end though, because of that 4 forest thing, but it's better than Piranha. Piranha could be, no, I don't know. We'll see. Rotting Boars. Wow, these cards aren't very good. Rotting Boar is pretty terrible. It costs 5. Is this D? This is like never used. But I think it's gotta be C, right? It can be used, I guess. You know? Baldurion's amazing, but also 5 land, but I think it's still warrants an A. Recruiter is possibly S. It's so good. I might slot it here for now, though. Recruiter's really good. Havoc is not the best, but it's kind of okay. I mean, like, if you ever build the 5 mountain archetype, it's kind of like hard removal, but I think it's more like a C tier because of all the land requirements. Like, 5 land is a lot. 9 damage sometimes won't even kill a creature. The Axolotls, not very good. This is probably D, right? Probably D. It costs 5 land, which is way too expensive, and it's a 4-cost 12/3, so you know. 5 land Nightmare Blech. Above Spooky Willow. Yeah, this goes down a little bit. Probably better than the fish. 5 land Nightmare Blech. Is this D? Is it that bad? I don't know. Rakoakopter's A. Up here somewhere. The Ruby Yak's not very good. What is this? 5 cost like 4 or 5? That's pretty terrible. I guess you can make something work. It's like C tier. All of these cards are kind of just eh. Yeah, but even the OTK deck's not that good. So yeah, Sprite goes there. Demonic Salmon is okay, like a B. Somewhere in here. Is it okay? Yeah, it's okay. It's like 2 cost. Okay, where does Sprite go, actually? It's a 1 cost 3/1 for 1. How could you get better value than that? Like, you can't. Just try to do it. You can't. Ruby Yak is a meme? I think so. I think it's pretty bad. Like, 5 cost 4/5, the effect doesn't hardly matter. 5 cost 4/5 is such a downgrade. This is probably like B, just because like the weight that it gives to a deck is kind of eh. I mean, some of these cards might get pushed down a little bit. Like Rotting Boar is also like on the same stat level as Ruby Yak, so that might drop a little bit. Honestly, this guy is still A, I think. Rakoan Recruiter, I mean, what's this guy's name? Shieldmates. He was nerfed. Used to be a 2/2, is now a 1/2, but I think it's still very strong. Lionfish. This is like C tier probably. It's a 0/4 with Death Touch, so it doesn't have Death Touch until it gains attack. So you need some other card to trigger it. It's okay. It's 3 cost, so like 3 cost 4 life. Kill anything, but you know, you need buffs and stuff. Cannoneers A, just such good value up there somewhere. Solemn is 4 deserts, I think, I want to say. 7 cost, 7/7 with Divine, which is it's alright. Like, you never see this played because there's just better stuff. This is probably a C tier, to be honest. Like, we have Runin in C, I think. This is probably like a Runin level card. Willow, Scary, and Green Rush. Yeah, right? Like, it has its uses. 7-1 taunt for 2 is pretty great. Yeah. Because a lot of the time, like, there's not a lot of 1 damage cards you run. Most of the things that deal 1 damage are going to be, like, 2 cost cards anyways. So you're going to trade even value at worst. And if they don't have an answer, you've got a 7-1 just sitting at face. Spirit Theft is one answer. We don't see that super often. This is probably a B, like a higher B, because Spirit Theft is very land heavy, so you don't get that early removal. A lot of the time it's just better to run Soul Drain, but it does give you some free cards, some free sort of deck weight. You get to steal a creature from your opponent. Topaz is like B, 4 Faeria, 4 damage with Yak synergy. Seems pretty decent. This one, I actually have to search up what this one is. Blightblade Knight. Damage dealt to this creature is also dealt to you. So that's pretty bad. I mean, so like 4 cost for 6/4 is actually decent stats. But I mean, almost always you'll find a better creature to run than this thing. But I guess considering this individually, it's still not great. Like probably 4 cost 6/4? Like that's okay. Is that C? Like low C. I would stop playing Slinger because of it. Oh, because of Spirit Theft? Yeah, that's true. Spirit Theft on Slinger is like one of the worst. Oh, you think Theft is A? I guess it gives a lot of value. Like, you get to almost pick and choose your card. And yeah, Bob Slinger's a good consideration, which is still run in this meta a lot. I'll put this up to A as well. It seems reasonable. Solemn's a tricky one, yeah. Yeah, you do have all that mobility. And yeah, so the Corrupt can be a little bit difficult to trigger. You have to kind of trigger it with, like, Last Nightmare or something. It's very expensive. Divine helps it out a little bit, but the 4 land is really icky. Okay, this is Warmachine, which is pretty solid. 4 cost, 4/4, charge 2. Probably go in A, to be honest, because this is like a Gabrian Archon, sort of. It's a little worse, but you can have, I mean, you can swallow a Rakoan, make it a 6/4. It's a bit easier to trigger than the Archon. You can save your Rakoan from a nasty position. Deranged Monkey is pretty bad, but like C tier. It's okay. Can be used in rush things. Might change some of these. Some of these might be lower than that. Ghost Dragon's pretty awful. But like C tier, you can still make it work. But like on the same level, like Lionfish is better than this. If you give this 1 buff, it's really weak to Emperor's Command still, but it's only 2 cost. But I don't know. You have to build your deck around Ghost Dragon also. But I think it kind of fits on par with other C tier things. We'll take a look at the other tier list after. Drakerider is like high B. I don't think this is quite A. It's a 5 cost 3/4 to start off, which is pretty weak stats for the cost. But once it triggers, it's quite strong. So probably like a higher B. So this is the Imperial Trooper. 5/4 for 4, and then when it captures a land, when it corrupts, it captures the land. So this is an angry creature. Pretty reasonable stats. Probably like B tier is fine. Maybe. 5/4 stats. Yeah, Lizard runs that in his red angry and makes it work. I've never... I think I played around with this a tiny bit, but not so much. Drakerider's A? Hey, Bence. I don't know. Drakerider can be difficult sometimes. Like, I don't think it's one of the best cards. 3/4 charge 2. Obviously not worth 5 cost at those stats, but paired with yellow things, mobility, you can get the ability off, but I don't know. It's weak to Frog Tosser, very weak to Frog Tosser. Choking Sand, which you don't see that often, but you're gonna say C for Drake? You think it's that bad? I don't think it's... I think it's got decent value still. Because 4 life is difficult to work through. And then with yellow, you can just mobility it around the board. It can often get value. It does require another card. Or other cards. Chaos is pretty bad. 6 lands is a lot. This is like D tier. Like 6 land, 6/6. You drain 1 life from everything only when it corrupts, and it's got divine, so you kind of need to find mobility for this. Oh, you've won with yellow control? Think so? I've never really played it. I have, but like more as a meme. Could just put it in like C. Divine's really helpful for it. Put it at the low end, maybe. It's better than Solemn. Where did I put Solemn? Oh, right, I put it here. Yeah, Solemn is probably like a lower end. You think it's better than Solemn, though? 6 land? Possibly. Laya's... I think Laya's a... maybe. I don't know. Laya can be really difficult to make work sometimes. But I think like value-wise, she's just got so much going for her. But like, she's 4 cost for 4 life. And if you... like... you can find a really efficient clear to this, and then sometimes the structure can just screw you over. Laya is S, and it helps every deck. I don't know about that. But like I guess Laya is always a consideration in any deck because it's neutral. But the 4 land requirement usually turns me off from it and gets me to play something else in its spot. I think it's more like an A. Really good value for what it is, but not super broken or overpowered. This guy, I forget his name. He's the 3 cost 3/3 with Corrupt. Gain 1, draw 1 card. This is really solid, but I guess like 3/3 stats are kind of like B tier sort of thing. Mother of Yaks is A, just for the Yak synergy. Really strong if you have a Yak deck. Lost Explorer, thank you. Yeah, Lost Explorer. That's a pretty decent card. It's a solid card. I don't think it's quite A, but pretty solid. Rakoan Champion is probably A as well. Because Champion, there's not really much downside to this card. Like, it's 5 cost 4/4, and then +1/+1 for each Rakoan in play. So, I mean, like, you get your value back just having 1 Rakoan in play. And then it's got dash 2 as well. Neutral. Doesn't even require lands, but not that important. Somewhere in here, probably better than that Rakoan. Shadowsilk Faerie is usable. Like, a C tier, though, I think. Like, 4 land... What's in C tier? I guess it costs 3, and it's a 1/1 with protection. But the 4 land requirement's really heavy. But, I mean, like, it's better than... that, I guess. Oh, Illusionist is S, for sure. Have to slot Illusionist in S. 1 Faeria to deal 4 damage on board? Absolutely bonkers. So yeah, Illusionist will be our S tier for this DLC. This guy's pretty bad, but I guess like it's usable. Rakoan War Chief? Yeah, I think it's War Chief. It's a 4 cost 3/5, which is okay stats. And then it's got the combat trigger. But it's really difficult to actually make a decent deck with this. It's just kind of eh. Body on top of the buff. Yeah. It gives an extra body as well. And most likely your 4/4 Doomdrake is going to survive. You can heal your Rakoan, so if your Frog Tosser was damaged, you can heal it. If your Champion was damaged, or your 4/4 Warmachine, really strong overpowered card. I think that's pretty solid. Yeah, Monstrous Hydra is just too land heavy for what it is. It's Monstrous Hydra costs 6 and it's a 5/6 body. Like, that's terrible. Sorry, Saturn. It's just terrible. The Corrupt is difficult to trigger, but if you get it off, I mean, you get some you get some value out of it. Rubiak's pretty bad, but I think it's still C tier material. Yeah, these probably drop a little bit though. I mean, Lionfish is reasonable. I guess it can be used a lot more than other stuff. Have it good for Tree of Everlife birding? Hey, that's true. It's good for Tree. Because, you know, Red's definitely got a chance against Green once they got the tree out. But yeah, it's pretty weak. I guess it's better than I guess the monkey's slightly better. But yeah, the other stuff's kind of worse, right? Maybe Chaos is okay. I don't really play with Chaos that much. Somewhere in there. Okay, I think we're done, to be honest. This seems pretty great. So if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more tier lists on the next episode. Alright, bye.